Welcome to another episode of the Old School Cannabis Project. I nearly forgot the name then. But welcome to the show, joined by co-host Rich, Smoker Rich, as ever, and a very special guest who I would like to thank sincerely for coming on today. This is North Shore grower. He's um, he's been around following me on Instagram from the very beginning. You saw the creation of the seeds, didn't you?
Oh, I saw everything unfold. I started following you very early on before you started selling your seed. I remember actually at that time, Mass Medical used to follow you. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, yeah.
But I remember coming across your page, following it, being interested in what you had going on. You talk a lot about your strains. You showcase a lot of your strain as well as your communication with Oldtimer. So I pretty much tagged along for a while. I saw everything unfold. I remember a couple of the first people that started growing your stuff. Um, and yeah, I remember pretty much the beginning all up until now.
Well, it's really awesome. I'd like to know just how many there are like that. 'Cause, that period where I first came on Instagram, I kind of like look back on kind of fondly. It was really nice. Like you say, the people you remember first starting growing my stuff. I remember there was Lou Dog Farms, and
Yeah, I remember him.
there's quite a few that little group at the beginning. I really liked how it was because I was like at that time I was kind of thinking when I was releasing the seeds, I was like, well, will people be honest, about what they find? Because obviously a lot of people wouldn't be and haven't been. And I was like, will these guys be honest? And like everybody in that period seemed to be like really good guys with good, honest hearts, and they told the truth. And it's really cool that you're one of those original guys. So I definitely appreciate your support, and also you'll be able to kind of verify a lot of things, I guess, through your recollections, because I've lost so many accounts over the
Yeah.
years, literally on like the 36th account. So yeah, you remember do you remember, were you there watching? I guess you must have been the two big polytunnels that I had outdoors where I actually grew the grew the first lot of seeds and created the seeds that have been selling since then.
Yeah,
Did you?
pretty much was there for the whole process. I even remember when you helped the little puppies. Um
Oh, cool,
that
cool.
that could
That
give you
was
an idea of how long I've been part of the group.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, that was before I even started the seeds. That's pretty amazing. So those puppies you're talking about was when I was walking by this bridge, and it's a place where animals aren't, they're not badly treated, but they're not treated like we treat them either. And so I saw these little tiny puppies, probably literally just left their mother. So yeah, I went and got a little house built for them and put it there, and bought them some food and paid the kids to feed them for till they grew up a little. So yeah, it was not too long after that then I went to where I created the seeds. It was nearby on a farm, and yeah, so you would have seen the two big polytunnels that I cleared out and got to work. It was really late, so I remember this for the people that don't know. It was really late in the outdoor season. It was like 28th of June that I put any seeds to germ, I think. And yeah, I put them out in that polytunnel, and I told people you're going to see incredible growth rates. Obviously, I couldn't prove it till they grew the seeds, but I told them exactly what terp profiles they'd find. And yeah, I really liked. I wish I had the content from back at that period, because I wasn't switched on to all the cunts basically on Instagram back in the very early days, so I didn't really think to necessarily back everything up. So when accounts got snitched, like the first one or two from there, I didn't have the content backed up, or if I did, it was on a phone that got broke anyway. So I just wasn't keeping the content so much. I wish I had, because I remember it clearly, and I used to say, it was like a 1985 seed bank catalog brought to life, and it was a beautiful sight, if I say so myself, because you could
Oh
just
yes.
see, you could see everything. You could see all the every expression that there is in cannabis, really.
Yeah, I remember you showing the blueberry. That was one that really caught my eye.
Yeah, the blueberry was nice. There was like, obviously a lot of skunks. I remember the parents or the mothers certainly of the cherry cola plants because they really stood out. They were very different to everything else that I was growing because they grew so tall and they were very distinctive. They had that beetroot rhubarb reds kind of stems and the petioles too, and there's beautiful lavender flowers and yeah, it was just I would like to have that. I'd like to have quite a lot of the stuff. That thread from UK 420 that I put up for Oldtimer1, where it was called Flowers for Oldtimer1. I put a whole lot of content from the days where I discovered those skunks from the seeds too. A lot of that's been lost, unfortunately. But hey, we keep moving on, and everybody's producing nice content now, including yourself. You've grown a few nice plants. You grew the F1, yeah,
Yes.
Formula
So
One.
I grew some of the Pheno Hunters pack. One of the first couple seeds that were sent out here. I found a very good pheno out of my first two seeds that I popped. I nicknamed Formula One due to the burnt rubber smell that it had. Um, and again, I found the fire within two seeds. So, sometimes I scratch my head whenever people say, "Oh, you can't find fire." Well, I found it in the second try, so must be, very easy to find some good stuff from your stuff. Given that I found it so quickly, I didn't have to do a huge pheno hunt to find something that I personally loved. And till this day, I still remember that pheno. Thankfully, I was able to acquire something similar for my good friends.
Yeah, I'm about to hit them up too.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, I was smoking that for the last week, and man, super potent. The terps are very, very loud, very burnt rubberish. You can smell it, you can taste it. It's the best of both worlds.
Bro, is it the one that originated from Old Killer No Filler?
I'm pretty sure I think it's a different one that he found. I think it's pheno number 2.
Burnt rubber mint is everywhere. To be honest, I've seen so many people get it out of your packs or like defaultly
Okay.
off TTTs at least.
I remember, I think that's actually what he named it. That's why I asked. I remember Old Killer No Filler finding two things he really liked. One was um, that burnt rubber mint, the rubber mints. I thought he actually called it that. So I could be wrong, or it might be. I'm not sure. And he also had one that was like grapefruit and something or other he loved. So yeah, I just wondered if it came from that.
No, it was totally different, but still, a lot of people have found burnt rubber, different nuances to them. I know mine, for example, it had a distinct smell when it was cured. It had like a bourbon alcoholic type of terp, and then when you smoked it, it had a burnt rubber taste, which made it very unique and very good.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. I've come across the bourbon tip before, but not with the burnt rubber. And what was the highlight on it?
The high was great. I have a funny story every time I talk about the Formula One, and that is that I remember one time me and my cousin had rolled up a couple of joints, and we had smoked the Formula One first, and we got so high that we forgot that we had more weed already rolled up. So, if that tells you something about how potent it there is, I don't know what can tell you, man. But it's very potent, very different from other strains. The high lasts all up to 3 hours or so, which is very good for just some quick smoke.
And I'm guessing last time you got faded like
So
same.
you found that around about 2019, then I'm guessing that
Yeah,
burnt
yeah, it
rubber.
was around. Yeah, it was around there. I think July or June, 2019.
Yeah, because I've just wanted to like date stamp it and time mark it, as it were, because my good friend Kevin Josry, he strangely enough started discovering burnt rubber profiles after I released it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I beat him by a couple months.
I'm pretty sure you did, man.
And
No,
again, the smell was even present during stem rub. I saw a lot of people commenting, "Oh, he has people smelling the stem." For me,
yeah,
stem rub is a very good indicator of how dominant the strain is. If they can produce that kind of terps, early on is definitely a good sign. I definitely don't see why, it's such a bad thing. And for me, in that specific pheno, I started smelling like wood terps, a lot of burnt wood. And then those terps started to, grow as they flowered, and it ended up staying, all over until, I put them to cure.
Yeah, this kind of attitude that stem rubs don't matter is just fucking bullshit. Of course, nobody's denying that the stem rub and the terps from any part of the plant or flower can change as the plant develops and even post harvest. But a plant that is exhibited extremely, loud and noticeable terp profiles from 2 weeks onwards or whatever is usually generally pretty special, even if it doesn't necessarily retain that exact terp profile for the entirety of its existence. But nonetheless, and also people are talking about different plants. So anything anybody's got to say about any plant is only applicable to stuff that's not Oldtimers, because I don't care. People have backed me up on this. Oldtimer1 stuff behaves differently in many ways, and often the stem rub will remain, or that initial tip profile will remain or be present at the end, even if it wasn't maybe halfway through. So
Yeah.
sometimes the stem rub is totally indicative of what the final product will be.
It's just stupid. Like, if it's a tool you have, why wouldn't you use it? Like,
Absolutely.
maybe when all your shit smells like the same terp, like them, the stem rub isn't important. But yeah, I think the stem rub is pretty useful.
Absolutely, I totally agree, man. And I have seen things wildly change for sure, but so fucking what? you know, yeah, you can't just discount stem rubs. So, yeah, I guess it's just, another kind of tool people use to kind of refute things or to cast shade, I suppose. But we've it's nice, like, you've been with me from the start, and you've probably witnessed the progression of how things have changed. You've probably witnessed all the shit talking, and which obviously remains today. But also, what's different today, though, is the fact that too many people now have either grown personally themselves my genetics, or from their friends they may have smelled and smoked some of it, or they're just not completely fucking retarded, and they listen to people like you and plenty of other people that come on or who make posts on Instagram, and they can see that obviously the truth is I've always told the fucking truth. So
Without a doubt.
yeah, don't know if you want
One
to tell
thing
us
that I
about.
could, excuse me, one thing that I could definitely add is that you haven't changed your story from the start. You gave credit to Oldtimer ever since I started following you. Your story never changed. The terps that you said that people could find within your packs, they were found. Like, I remember mango haze being, mango skunk being found. I remember lime skunk being found. The coke skunk that everybody loves. I remember at least 2 people that have found it, back in 2019, 2020. So a lot of the terps that you said were in the pack, were in the pack. A lot of people had the chance to grow it. I was pretty much behind the scene for the most part. I saw a lot of people grow your stuff, get good results, and then I had the opportunity to, grow and experience it myself. So I could say, from what I've seen from other people, the people that first started growing your stuff, and from what I've seen, everything has been spot on. Honestly, I've never met somebody that could name so many terps and actually be right. I think these strains like the back of your hand.
Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be able to grow big numbers multiple times, so I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of what's potentially there, and also it's nice to hear about things that I've not personally encountered myself, or some variations of maybe something I might have seen once or twice. So yeah, it is people don't realize really just what an important kind of subset of genetics these are from Oldtimer1, because, like Rich alluded to earlier, everybody's got the same stuff today. It all looks, smells, and acts the same. And what I've brought to the community is a totally new, fresh set of genetics that, they've retained the old vigor, the old structures, and the old terpenes and cannabinoids and everything else. So and also I just, you know, I've got to say I've probably been lucky to some extent. I'm certainly fortunate, but probably lucky to have been able to encapsulate pretty much, I would say, you know, the majority, if not all, of what Oldtimer had. I've even found stuff that he considered lost, like the lavender haze. I remember talking to him in DM, and he said, like, we were talking about some hazes, and he was like, "Oh, it's a shame you never got to experience the lavender or the almost white hazes from back in the day." He said, "Hey, Ace haven't got those. What you've got are different to Aces because they've got Oldtimer1 haze, but like only, you know, a smaller bit of it, and from a later period." And anyway, so I was like, not only have I got your lavender haze, I can show you pictures of it. And that's one of the things that, you know, I had a few nice pictures of that lavender haze, which unfortunately, you know, have been lost now through to snitches and stuff in those early days. But yeah, I showed him the lavender haze, and that was the whole point of me ever getting in touch with him again, and you know, using his name, not even using his name, just putting attaching his name to them, because they did come from him. And I wanted him to see I knew he's, you know, old and his health not so good, and I wanted him to see his plants thriving and doing well in a nice sunny climate, you know. So I started that thread on there, flowers for Oldtimer1, and it was the minute really I mentioned seeds, and that I'd, you know, I'd grown or made 250,000 seeds, ballpark figure, from his genetics. Then they blocked me, and then started doing their little hit pieces because they just didn't want anybody else selling this stuff. They didn't want, or he didn't want, also, like, any attention, which I respected. You know, I said to him one time, like, well, it would be amazing if you could go on something like the podcast. I wouldn't recommend it now because Heavy Days is a fucking prick. But back then, I didn't realize he was a total industry arse licker. But I was like, you know, if you could do that, or if you could even just like make tapes. Because again, when I was in my coma from the fire, I had this, when the dreams are so incredibly vivid, I had this period in it where I met Oldtimer1. So I've not met Oldtimer1 in real life, only ever talked to him on the internet. But and anyway, when I met him in my dreams, it was like when he was younger in the 60s and 70s. It was crazy. And he like recorded all these, like about 6 hours of cassette tape, which I listened to. And obviously, like, it's like a figment of my imagination or my brain or my subconscious or whatever to a big extent. But you know, I can remember listening to it. It was like all legitimate information. You know? It's weird. Yeah, yeah. And so, yeah, man, crazy stuff. So I listened to like these 6 hours of tapes, and I hung around the whole time I one in my coma. But yeah, yeah, it's just, yeah, I was lucky enough to pretty much capture all those different tape profiles from his work. So yeah, so that's really, really fortunate, you know, because cannabis was in a bad way before that happened. And I'm not saying that in an arrogant or big-headed way, because if somebody else had fucking obtained these genetics and brought them to the market in this way, or to the community in this way, I'd be supporting them, you know, especially based on my, if I'd only ever grown the Oldtimer1 stuff from the early days, you know, not this stuff I've made myself. So yeah, and then UK420 did their little hit piece, as it were, denouncing BlueSkiesVienna. Me and Smoke Rich, we did an episode on UK420 actually denouncing them, and not one single one of them has stepped forward to counter anything I said, because they can't, because everything I've said is the truth, you know?
No, yeah.
So yeah. So latest thing, I suppose. I don't know if you. Oh, yeah, we mentioned it briefly earlier before we got on. The florofarm guy. We've just done. Rich has done a good interview with him, or debate with him. I'm going to do my little reaction to it later. I initially wasn't even going to like bother having anything to do with him, because I thought it seems like a bit of a setup, like between him and Old School Chronic. You know, obviously you remember Old School Chronic and
Yeah, I remember.
the real cannabis talk I did with him. Well, like Old School Chronic was okay in the early days, I guess. But do you know the skunk hunt he did? Do you remember that?
Yeah,
When
I remember. He
well, that
had
was
like
straight.
a bunch of different skunks.
That's when he started to be a sneaky, slimy little cunt because I gave him like 250 pheno hunters seeds, yeah, and probably some boss as well. Definitely, yeah, I did give him some boss too, and he was going to do he's got this little greenhouse thing set up, this outdoor thing, and he was going to do a hunt only of my stuff. And to show that, because he found some skunk, which I've got him on numerous records saying, and on the Future Cannabis project, he was saying it, so it can't be disputed. So he found some previously of some small amount of seeds I sent him, and then I sent him a whole bunch more. He was going to do this kind of blue skies hunt. But then he starts to muddy the waters and starts to say and do a few things which is like making me suspicious. So he starts getting all these other skunks from other people, and then yeah, just some his behavior. I'm a very good, I can judge. I can judge scenarios and what's going on, yeah. And his behaviour started to be off. He wasn't doing as many or as frequent podcasts with me. He was starting to talk less and less about my stuff and to me in just general conversation. And then he started to grow other people's skunks. And so I was like, yeah, this, and just combined with other stuff, I was like, yeah, he's going to fucking just pull some bullshit here. And so then we'd find out, like, oh, actually, where he's saying that, oh no, I'm not really doing anything with him at the minute. Then we'd find out, oh no, the mother of his zombie feet, and he'd admit it, but like, I was like, well, why didn't you tell me this fucking ages ago when we were like talking like buddies? But then he admitted that, the mother of his zombie feet was one of my really disgusting skunks, and yeah, just some general other stuff happened, and he really spoke to Old Killer No Filler like he was a piece of shit one day, and I was like, this guy, he's like putting out this fucking hippie always going on about fucking vibrations. If you remember those podcasts, he's always talking about vibrations, all this hippie shit. And then he's speaking to people in private like they're peasants and he's some kind of lord or something. I was like, this guy's a fucking fake cunt, man. Plus, with what I was seeing with my own stuff going on. So I parted ways with him. And he was never wanting to, he was always, I'd ask him about the lineages of his stuff. And he was like, would never want to give like Shanty credit for his White Widow and stuff like that. And then he was starting to say things like, oh, why, what does it, basically implying that you don't need to give people credit. And I was like, yeah, this guy. And so, yeah, that's what he's done since. So he's probably happy in a way that I parted company with him so that he had like a more of a legitimate reason not to mention my name. But for sure, that guy is working with plenty of my stuff, like so many other people are. But how do we get on to Old School Chronic, man?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking through some of the phenos.
That you can sort of like correct.
I feel like it's important to highlight how important it is that you gave credit to Oldtimer. Me personally, I've never heard of Oldtimer or none of his work. Again, I'm a pretty young person. I'm brand new to the weed game, but I never heard from him or about him before. And you did the right thing, in my opinion. Not a lot of people give credit where credit's due. And, like I tell people, you could have just said that you found it, out of a ditch or you created yourself. The possibilities are endless, but, you stood your ground, you spoke the truth, and you said, hey, let me give credit where credit's due. And a lot of people say that you were using Oldtimer's name to gain clout. If anything, you were, paying your respect and bringing up somebody that's very important to the cannabis community. I feel like, not a lot of people were talking about him. Not a lot of people knew about him. So, it's important to highlight the importance of Oldtimer and his work. You mentioned, preserving this genetics. And I feel like that's the most important thing with this genetics. Let's stop arguing about who has skunk, who doesn't, and let's just focus on preserving this incredible genetics, because honestly, like you said previously to you bringing out these genetics, everything was, related to each other. Everything was, hybrids of hybrids. So we were really losing, a lot of the basis of cannabis, a lot of the important, features like vigor, terps, like a lot of the stuff that I've had recently don't have a strong terp, are missing a lot of, variety, you pretty much find the same, sugary strains, cakey, you might be lucky if you find something that's very good and citrusy, maybe some of the citrus strains right now are like, they lack flavor, they lack terps. So I feel like, we shouldn't be arguing about who has what and just focus on preserving these amazing genetics and to give credit. I feel like a lot of the times the reason why you're so angry at some people is because they just don't give credit. I haven't seen you be against anybody breeding with your stuff. If anything, you're very open to people breeding with your stuff. Unlike some breeders, a lot of breeders don't like their stuff to be worked on, or their stuff to be bred with. And a lot of breeders themselves don't give credit. They don't specify where they obtain the cuts or where they obtain the seeds. So I feel like they can be hypocrites about it. They can't be mad at you for actually giving credit, and they just say, oh, he's just using him for clout or for attention. And for me, it's just, you did the right thing. A lot of people would just look the other way or try to take credit for themselves. But you did the right thing. And I've been following you for so long that I could safely say that you have said everything how it was. You never sugarcoated. You brought out receipts, proof of your work. So I don't understand how people are so confused when you've been saying the same thing for like 4 years now.
Well, I guess what it is, as you say, it's been 4 years, and over that 4 years, I've had 36 accounts. Many of them have reached, nearly that 10,000, not too bad numbers. So there's a lot of people that have like lost access to the early information or weren't following the early when I first started. But yeah, with the Oldtimer1 thing, it was like I never thought it was I never thought it was going to inspire much controversy, because you know it's really the way Oldtimer1 who kind of, or I don't know, that whole shit with UK 420. I guess that didn't help. But yeah, I mentioned Oldtimer1's name not because it was going to benefit me in terms of like, oh, everybody knows Oldtimer1, so they got. I mean, that's the opposite of the case. You say nobody really knew of Oldtimer1 when I started talking about him. Very few people, because of his age and because most people on Instagram are younger anyway. So yeah, nobody had really known of him. It didn't benefit me in that way. It wasn't like, oh, I got these genetics off Snoop Dogg. I'm fucking, you know.
No, yeah, I mean, honestly, my generation and even a lot of the US, like Oldtimer1 didn't really come up as a topic until you started to blow up.
Yeah, he was known, I think, on Overgrow or something back in the day, but like how he
Yeah,
made
because
his
that's
early
like forum
contacts.
people, like it's not everyone was on forums, and especially my generation, bro. Like, you think I'm gonna sit there and read a forum, bro? Like, you don't got brain capacity for that.
Yeah, well, so anyway, I just gave him credit because he was the source of genetics. That was basically it, because he
Yeah.
was. It's not like he wasn't. And so I was saying he was to get some clout, because that wouldn't have got me anywhere anyway, because nobody fucking knew of him. I repopularized Oldtimer1. But unfortunately, that was literally the very opposite of what he wanted. Probably even if he was a bit younger, he wouldn't have wanted that. But certainly being older and, in his bad health, he just wanted to be left alone. I think that's how I ended up getting onto fucking Old School Chronic earlier. I started by saying about how could you just, record your stuff or whatever. And he was like, I don't want any interviews. I don't want no attention. I want to be left alone. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Just please leave me alone. And so I essentially then did leave Oldtimer1 alone. I didn't really have much more to say to him after I'd shown him those pictures anyway. Um, I did keep maintaining he was the source of the genetics, because he was. And I did so for no other reason than just to give the guy credit, because also I was hugely impressed by what I'd seen in my discoveries and my work with his stuff. I was fucking blown away by it. In the early days when I was younger and I was only, growing a handful of plants of one variety, I still knew it was, in a different league to anything else that was out there. But I could never have known just how much he fucking had. And it is impressive because he never did. I don't know everything he did, obviously, but I, I think he did have access to be able to do some, mid-scale size growths, perhaps in polytunnels in the UK, from what I've gleaned from posts of his. But put it this way, he didn't have no big fucking facilities in Holland or big legal farms in America. He was doing everything on a small scale, super clandestine, undercover. He was making incredible selections from his own perception, basically from his own senses, and how it felt, how it affected him. He was always select for effect. So he was this guy who was able to, in a time and a period where it's not like now, where we can make contact with anybody or any part of the world and exchange seeds easily. But somehow or other, this guy, in those circumstances, was able to acquire cannabis seeds from every single fucking cannabis producing region on earth, and also to make incredible selections with them. And because let's not forget, they're not all fucking fire coming out the field back in the day. It did definitely require some work on his part to make these wild land race genetics what they've become today. I couldn't produce what I've produced with Turptown tickets and the pheno hunters and the boss packs, like in the way that I have, if I was just only starting out with the base blocks of those, seeds taken from plants from those fields right now. I couldn't do that in that way. It was his selections previously over the years, and his combinations of them as well, and how he improved them. And it's definitely on the shoulders of giants that I've done this. And I have done decent amounts of work with them myself, which pricks like this, we might have this, we may or may not have this little dweeb on who wants to come on and talk about F1s and F2s that I've done with
Yeah,
the work
don't even
types.
say his name, to be
I'm
honest.
not going to, he's a fucking little dweeb. He's probably listening, little fucking dweeb. But anyway, F1s and F4s or whatever, it makes no fucking difference, because truthfully, Oldtimer1 did just like a really, how can I say, he added stuff like over the years. He might have he had like a 20, I have to go back to the post and check it out, but it was 24 years old, I believe, this clone he's referring to. And this post was made, I think, in the fucking 90s. So it's something, he had stuff that was going, he kept and maintained right up to the end, that was from, all from that 60s, late 60s period onwards. And I want to get back on topic now, but because I've forgotten where I was going with it a little bit. But yeah, it was, he did a lot of selections and improve things himself, and so that's basically what I've been fortunate to bring. But what I have been able to bring is, I think, a huge part of what he ultimately had himself. And as I say, I found things he had thought he'd lost, and so yes, but as you say as well, people should just appreciate. They might argue about whatever, just appreciate what is now available, because yeah, it would. What I think about, if cannabis had just stayed where it was in 2018 or whatever, before these genetics were brought out, I mean, it was just absolute trash. It was just all cookies trash, and it's not been too much improvement since, really. But I just think, yeah, thank God this this set of genetics is now out there available to people. It's not being hoarded, because they are a vast, vast, vast improvement of everything that was around up to 2018.
Yeah, man.
Because like Northshore said, they've kept the old traits. They've got the vigor, for example. I mean, you put my genetics side by side with anything else, and most of the time there's no competition. They just don't keep up.
Mm-hmm.
Are you
Nah, man.
growing any? Are you growing anything of mine at this moment, North Shore?
So right now I'm flowering the pheno that I found last grow. I found the propane pheno that smells like propane gas.
Nice.
I mentioned to you that during the veg it kind of smelled like shit. Um, it was kind of funny because I never expected to smell something that disgusting until I stumbled across that pheno. Um, I ended up flowering it, and literally the terps are so strong that you could automatically notice that you have the weed on you, or you rolling and the smell is just going everywhere. So um, that's the last one that I've grown from your stuff. I'm also growing some of my crosses that I made using a male that I found in your packs. And
Yeah.
like you mentioned, the vigor, even on the stuff that I created, the vigor has been passed down. The terps also has been passed down. I know my good friend Good Grow, he found some good stuff that smell like garlic and onions from my breeding, using one of your males. So even in crosses, your genetics are still strong. All right, give me a second.
Yeah, but
Yeah, yeah, they definitely pass. It's noticeable in terms of like morphologies and their structures. But yeah, I remember as well, I was losing my track a little bit earlier. We were talking about the F1s and the F4s, and I got onto Oldtimer1 and lost my way. But yeah, Oldtimer1, obviously he did do line breeding and stuff like that, but he also, over the years, would just incorporate new things in if it had something that you wanted to add or to recombine with. And I always operated on a similar principle to him, especially up until the time where I created the seeds that have been on sale, because I like that outlook from Oldtimer1, like just not not keeping detailed records, and if you liked this fucking plant, adding it in if you wanted to, or whatever. I just like that breeding for his own purposes, for his own enjoyment, and for his own kind of what he likes to smoke, in terms of flavors and highs. It was mainly, as I say, the highs he was concerned about. He didn't care about, for example, if something had some slight herm tendencies. He did do a lot of work breeding herms out. For example, he bred out a lot of the herm traits in blueberry. Him and Vic High worked on DJ Short's blueberry and did that. But he had this plant that would throw, significant amounts of nanas during its life. But he said it was like acid. So he didn't give a fuck. It was just the high that mattered to him. He didn't
yeah,
care.
man.
Didn't
That's
care for.
those are
Sorry,
really the
Rich.
type
Go
of
ahead.
breeders that you want in reality. Like, why do you want a breeder that's growing something for bag appeal or looks, bro? Like, get
Yeah,
me a breeder that's growing something to fucking smack me, bro.
exactly. Imagine, something that's like acid that you could smoke, weed.
Exactly. Like, that's what I'm trying to look for in this pack, man. I hope the grace of God gives me one of those strains.
Well, uh, I'm going to concentrate once I've done some certain more skunk work. Get that sort of like out the way. I'm going to concentrate on hunting for some really like wild fucking highs that the average person is going to find scary.
Hell yeah, bro.
Sorry, I
You
had
know,
to go get a package real quick.
no worries, bro.
For sure. I wanted to ask you, North Shore, what are your experiences with that Chile Verde? Because that one had caught my eye a while back.
Oh, so I got that from Boston Bob. I'm working on it right now. I've definitely found some good phenos. I'm flowering one right now. Incredible vigor, incredible structure. I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing. I've been following him for quite a while as well, and I like
Yeah.
his breeding program. I like his selection. So, again, for me, the main important thing when it comes to seeds that I like to hunt, I'm definitely looking for vigor. I'm definitely looking for a unique high. And definitely things are different from what we see in today's market. I feel like today's market's all about looks rather than effect.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's something that we as growers and as breeders, we should focus on effect rather than looks,
Mm-hmm.
because look at how far that has gotten us.
Exactly, man.
Yeah, it's quite insane when you think about it. That I can understand it to like at the beginning almost, breeding for an aesthetic about how something looks because you know, I can imagine certain people being like falling in love with like the way this particular plant maybe looked compared to things that come before it. But then for that aesthetic to be so dominant that that's all anybody cares about, and if their flower doesn't look like that, I mean, a lot of the bud I see today looks fucking disgusting to me, especially like just everything, the full packet, the full hydro LED machine trimmed cookies dominant. I mean, oh, it looks so fucking disgusting to me. Do you know what I mean? It just looks so unnatural. It's gone too far from what cannabis started out as.
Yeah, and I feel like people's focus is always profit and making money rather than doing something for the community, doing something that will really change lives. That's kind of my problem with people that claim to be all about the plan, and then they keep information away from growers. They keep information away from the people buying their strains. And I just feel like it's unfair to the grower. It's unfair to the people that want to breed with it, because you're preventing people from finding other things just because you want to make money off of it first. It's not like you don't want to put that out yourself. It's just you don't want to give credit, or you don't want people to find out where you're sourcing your genetics from, which to
Exactly.
me, it's you're doing more harm to the community than good. So you cannot preach that you're all about the plan when you keeping information, that should be, provided for everybody. Like, I feel like I was lucky enough to have come across you when I did, and before the drama really started kicking in, because a lot of people are not growing your stuff right now based on what they heard from other people. And to me, I tell people, don't judge without actually trying the genetics. I understand why people might not like you because of things that you have to say, but also you have to understand why you're saying the things that you're saying. I will be mad if somebody takes my strain and doesn't give me credit, and then about just talks bad about me whenever my name is brought up. And again, I can understand people having personal issues with Blue Sky, but to make it to the point where you talking bad about his genetics, I feel like you're being a hypocrite. You cannot be working with the guy's genetics and then talking bad about him.
Nah,
Well,
yeah, that happens all the time too. You'd be surprised, like the fucking dumbasses I get messaging me.
Oh yeah, trust me. I've been here for the harassment. A lot of people think that he's paying me, or that I'm just a robot. I'm probably Blue Sky undercover. But I never had a reason to even speak good on Blue Sky. Everything that I've said comes from my experience, from my relationship with him. He was one of the first people that helped me when I started growing. He sent me 30 free seeds, for me to grow. And, not a lot of breeders do that. Like, not a lot of breeders are interested in having somebody growing their stuff. And again, we have to look at what Blue Sky has done for the community. He put out his best work. He could have kept that to himself, and I wouldn't have blamed him, but he made it so easy for new growers, for old growers, to just find something that will remind them of their childhood, or for somebody like me, just being introduced to something new, something that, I've never experienced. And that's why, to this day, I'm only working with Blue Skies and other breeders. But to me, I keep it between two breeders, just because, again, I have a lot of respect for Blue Sky and the work that he has been putting out. And again, outside of who he is as a person, we have to respect what he has done for cannabis. Just how Oldtimer has done so much for the cannabis community. And the only time that people bring him up is just to badmouth Blue Sky. And to me, we should respect him for what he did, and we should also respect Blue Sky for what he's doing. He could have kept his genetics to himself and enjoy it. I know that I wouldn't have smoked something this powerful if it wasn't for Blue Skies, to the point where, like, I recently got the rubber mints from And that was the first time in such a long time that I had an actual good high. You know, that was the first time in like 3 years since I last, you know, grown blue sky stuff that I had something that I really, really enjoyed. And to put it side by side with, for example, Oreos, which I had some Oreos recently, the high is way different. Like, it's so different that it's noticeable, you know. And you know, I love Oreos. It's a great strain, but when it comes to high, I can't compare it to some of the stuff that I found from Blue Sky, you know. And a lot of people that had the chance to smoke some of the stuff that I smoked could say the same thing. You know, people that are unbiased, people that just smoke weed just to smoke weed, and they could tell you like, "Yo, that's one of the strongest weed they ever had."
Yeah, it's because their receptors aren't prepared for it. You know, they've not had those receptors hit before for a long time.
Honestly, I'm telling you this, like, your stuff is so good. It's like the perfect mixture of sativa and indica, because it's not something that's gonna just make you slump. It's something that's gonna give you also energy. Like, I feel very energetic whenever I smoke some of your stuff, and that's something that is hard to find. Like, even some sativas don't really hit you that hard. You know what I mean? So to me, it's just the best of both worlds. You find good terps, you find good high, and to me, I honestly were not. I wasn't looking for a skunk in particular. I was just looking for something unique, something new. Importantly, something that will get me high, and that's, you know, those strains satisfy each of those needs. So to me, a lot of people that hunt through the pheno hunter spec, they so focus on finding one specific thing that they might overlook something that's very, very good, you know. And to me, it's just, you find things that you might like and things that you might not like. But again, it's your job as a grower to pheno hunt and look for those things that you like. And I'm sure there's a strain for everybody within the pack.
Well, that's why I made that Pheno Hunters pack, which people people more recently following will be more familiar with the Turptown tickets. Turptown tickets is the old Pheno Hunter mix, but I added 4 new varieties that I made into it. Um, but so they're very similar basically because there's only a difference of four extra strains in it when there's already the offspring of like about 60 plus 60, more than 60 but less than 70. I can't remember exactly the figure of the plants. It's like over 60 mothers that. So I had the boss pack, the offspring of 5 skunk mothers, all of them different, running from narrowleaf through to broadleaf, going from like the sharp chemical spray and ammonia through to the dead body, the carcass, that kind of skunk, and all the shit and vomits and things that are in between. So the boss pack was that. But then, and I knew at the time when I was kind of coming towards towards harvest time, I was like, well, I know that I'm going to focus my work going forwards on some developments of skunk because that's what everybody's looking for, and I've got it. Um, but I was like, all these other plants that I've got here, there's 60 or so other plants that are also, you know, got some skunks in there too, but different skunks. But I was like, all of these are special in some way. There's no way I can like just not work with these or not make them available. I can't just like let them sit in a fucking corner rotting, if you know what I mean. So I kept all these other 60 plants, each one, as I say, unique and special in at least one way, to merit its being kept. Because I started with like about 200 or so plants, and then getting rid of herms and males I didn't want, or anything that was maybe very, very hungry compared to its peers. I deselect against that because it's a pain in the ass for anybody growing them in the future. Um, so I just ended up from the 200 with these 70 or so. I guess I kept like 5 to 10 skunks. I've still got some skunks, so I'm putting the best out. I've still got some things I've kept for myself, which I want to work with. Um, so yeah, that's why the Pheno Hunters came into being because, and it's like something no one's ever done before. You know, 66, the offspring of 60 different, unique, special, old school skunks, hazes, and heirlooms, the blueberries, the strawberries, and all the fruits that you can find in there that people have found, and all the weird stuff as well, like the Play-Doh terp. You know, it's just a strange terp. It smells exactly like Play-Doh. It's not something I particularly like, but it's there. It's worth a mention. All the alcohol terps and the banana penicillin and durian fruit and just everything that I've always listed on Instagram. It was like, you know, I had to make those available to people. So that's what they were. I put them all in one big container together and mixed them up. And that's what the Pheno Hunters is, a chance to get really, really unique, completely separate and different to anything that's on the market or available from anybody in the last 20 years. It's all Oldtimer1 stuff. Nothing else has ever been introduced into it. So yeah, it's an opportunity. It's like a treasure chest, a
Yeah,
time
for sure.
capsule.
I think you will never get bored with the pheno hunters. You know, I still got some, you know, and I always have fun, you know, hunting through them, finding unique, you know, traits that I haven't seen before. Like the propane pheno that I found is very unique. It grows very, very short, almost like a bush. But whenever it's in flower, it just stacks up. Kind of reminds me of the boss pack when it comes to the yield.
Yep.
But again, it's just an opportunity to find something unique and something new. I'd found even lemon strains within the pheno hunter that, you know, you don't expect something that sweet, that lemony to be in the, you know, pheno hunter's bag, but it's still very good. You know, like you can find strains that you might love or you might hate, but there's a strain for everybody there. So to me, I feel like the pheno hunter's bag are the best way to, you know, to hunt through your stuff, because you're not only finding skunk, but you can find hazes, you can find, you know, mango, you can find blueberry. So to me, the opportunities within the pack just makes it worth it. You know, again, people can be going into the hunt like, oh, I'm gonna find something right away. You might not find it the first try, but I'm sure that if you keep going, you might find what you're looking for. And the best thing is having option. You know, you, like you always say, you can make a seed bank from each pack just based on the variety that it has within the pack. So to me, it's perfect. It's perfect for every grower, perfect for every pheno hunter that is just wanting to find something unique.
Well, it's ideal for breeders because it's a new source of genetics.
For sure.
It's literally you're not gonna. There is just oh man, there is just nothing that's really new available anymore. So that's just what they are. A new, it's fresh material to work with that nobody else has had. You know, it's like fresh blood. But yeah, that's what it is. It's an opportunity. It's a connoisseur pack, really, for people that really want to experience the best that there is. So, and it won't be available in the future because I am actually going to just focus on releasing packs that have got one variety only. And seems that it's more what the market wants rather than, even if it's not my preference. But on the flip side, I've seen so much ignorance from so many fucking people since I've released packs like the Pheno Hunters that I just think, fuck them. If you're too stupid to fucking understand, and especially after listening to countless testimonies now, if you don't understand what is on offer and you don't get them whilst they're around, then it's just tough fucking shit, isn't it? You can take a horse
Yeah,
to
man.
water. But it's actually true what you say, Northshore Grow, in your earlier point about a lot of people have been put off growing them because they listen to the opinion. Well, it's not even the opinions. Let's face it, it's the lies of so many fucking just complete pieces of shit, really, aren't they? They're people that I understand why people get taken in by them because I got taken in by them myself. I was fooled. I call them internet personas now because that's what they are. What you see on Instagram and whatever is just an internet persona. The person behind it isn't that fucking person they portray themselves to be in vast majority of cases. So let's mention again, my perpetual good friend, fucking Kevin Jodry. Prime example of why we started the Meet the Bullshitters series, because in that I cover a lot of the points you mentioned about these people who are pretending to be about the community and spreading knowledge and, these fake fucking hippies, they're not really about that. They're about their own interests, their own financial gain, and that's pretty much it, and their own egos. And so they'll do their very best to actually fucking hide the true fucking quality genetics until they're able to benefit from them themselves. So that's exactly what you said. That's exactly what we see. And also, like you said, I don't mind. I encourage everybody to breed with my stuff because that's the whole purpose of me putting them out there, and that is the truth. Of course I make money from it, but the purpose of it is to improve the gene pool and to put out new experiences for people that they could never have had before, or from anybody else, because this is a very particular set of genetics that's been held privately by the greatest breeder of all time, which is Oldtimer1. I don't give a fuck what anybody's got to say about that. He is the greatest breeder of all time. There's no fucking question he is. It's not up for debate. And so that's why, I've been able to do what I do. If I had no Oldtimer1 genetics, nobody would fucking know who I was, because I would not be a breeder. Trust me. Definitely not. I'll be out collecting my own stuff and, from source countries and working with it myself. And would I have got the opportunity to do that? Who fucking knows? Who knows? So it's all down to Oldtimer1's genetics, really. So that's why I've always given credit. And also, that's what these people don't like, because they know that they are no Oldtimer1 themselves, They are all far from being fucking Oldtimer1. So there's too much ego, too much money involved in cannabis today. And that's the sad fact of it. The community's been damaged by it for the same reasons you mentioned, in that these people will actively hide the best medicine for their own gains and their own profits and for their own, egos. So it's really
Yeah, they
sad.
wanna take credit for themselves. If they can't get the credit, they rather send the person crashing down.
Yeah, that's what it is. And unfortunately, I've had the strength of character to really not give a fuck about them and carry on. They probably never expected me to have 36 accounts. So I don't give a fuck. I'll have another 136. These cunts will never get rid of me. They're going to fucking only see more and more of me. They're going to be confronted at events this year by people. And yeah, the tide has started to turn. And that's why we started this breeder series, to expose certain individuals and give them the opportunity now to mend things, and they're not going to do it. We know that, but they can never say they weren't given a chance. One, they were liars. Two, they were given the option to, move on from that and do the right thing and, you know, uh, expose these genetics to their audiences for the greater good of people and medicine and whatever, all the shit they pretend to be about but aren't, you know. So that's what this is about. So, Kevin Jodrey, people will be bumping into Kevin this year. Probably plenty of other people. There'll be events attended where my stuff will either, I don't give a fuck about my stuff being entered, because I don't think it's even going to be given a fair go at first. But I do give a fuck about, and I do have people that will turn up with flowers and catch people on camera. And so that they can't, we're going to basically force them to admit that they've been liars, and they can either fucking not choose to respond, in which their silence speaks volumes, or they can admit the truth.
Yeah, man. It's really
I
how
think
it's
that
gonna be. I can't
I
wait
think
to
that
fucking pull up on them with the jar and the camera.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if they get the chance to actually see the plant face to face, or see the bud, and they get to experience it, they cannot lie. Like, you cannot lie about how strong a weed is from smoking it. And again, people are biased. People pay so much attention to the breeder or to the name of the strain. Like, they're so focused on the name that they forget about the effect. They worry about fitting in, or being part of the crew, or you know, they just so focused on the name that these people have built that they cannot look past their flaws as human beings and also their lies. Because again, um, I have no reason to lie about my experience. You know, I can only speak for my experience with your genetics. And I feel like if I had a good experience, just how many people before me had, you know, fantastic experience with you, I feel like that should be enough for people to make their own decisions and to just give it a shot. You know, I'm always willing to give from my own seed stock just so, you know, somebody has the opportunity to grow them and experience them for themselves. Because again, we can't be biased. You know, we have to, you know, pay attention to the strains, pay attention to how they grow, and not care so much about, oh, the breeder, or care so much about the name or the brand. No, let's just focus on the plant. You know, one of the things I think made Oldtimer so good was that he was not paying attention to the name of the strain or the breeder behind it. He was just pretty much focusing on the effects, on the high of his experience with them. And I feel like that makes it so much better than just thinking about the name of the strain or just focusing on the breeder. I feel like we should let the plants talk for themselves. They, you know, they speak for themselves. They, you know, the results speak for themselves as well. So I feel like that should be the main point of pheno hunting, just letting them express themselves. You know, I know that you had a problem with how Old School Chronic did his pheno hunt because he got rid of a lot of plants before they made it to flower. And you know, every plant deserves a chance to flower. I understand some people might focus on the vigor or the growth, but again, look, I found a pheno that anybody would just get rid of because it's very small. It kind of grows like a little bush. It's like the smallest plant ever, but whenever it goes to flower, it fattens up. It gives good yield. But again, we need to give a fair chance, and a lot of people that
Bro,
grow your stuff don't give it a fair chance.
bro,
They
you
focus so
jogged my
much on the
memory.
negative.
You jogged my memory, man, about why things started to go like south with Old School Chronic. That was exactly it. After about 2 weeks of germination, he told me he's got rid of over half the fucking plants. I was like, what the fuck? Is this guy fucking stupid? And he was like, yo, yeah, I basically, I'm vigorous. I was like, this guy is fucking retarded. He's gone and thrown away over 100 fucking seedlings at 2 weeks old. What a fucking retard. That's why I knew the guy didn't know what was up. And then he started, not being able to name the parents in his crosses. And I found out that his partner does all the breeding. That's why he couldn't answer questions spontaneously. So yeah, that's such a crazy thing to do. And that's why I knew, something was up, because he was either lying at that point and he hadn't done it, or he was really fucking stupid and had discarded a lot of good genetic material.
Yeah, and again, like I might understand why he did it, but at the same time, you know, I feel like you should give them a fighting chance. You know, just flower them. A lot of plants don't do super well on veg, but whenever you flip them to flower, they, you know, they it's like light and day. But to me, again, I feel like you miss out on finding good phenos just by focusing so much on what happens in veg. Um, so to me, again, just give it a fighting chance. Give it a chance to showcase um how they do in flower, and you can make your decision from there on. I don't make a decision on a pheno until I smoke it. You know, the first time that I grew the Formula One, I didn't do my best. I grew it on a 1 gallon pot. It didn't look the best, but the smoke was so good that, you know, I couldn't get rid of it. And sure enough, the second time that I grew it, it was so frosty, crazy yield. The terps, the high was pretty much the same. And again, if I had just got rid of her before I even gave her the chance to, you know, flower and cure, I would have missed out on one of my best strains. Like I tell everybody about that strain because it was by far one of the best strains that I found. The terps, the high, just everything about the strain was perfect. And another thing that I want to bring up is that your strains are very resistant to drought, very resistant to pest. Which again, who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want a strain that you practically can't kill? And I find it funny whenever, you know, I think I forgot what the breeder was, but he had grown your stuff and they looked like shit. Like they look all kinds of fucked up. I forgot
Was
who
it
he was.
JJ?
Yeah, yeah. And I was
Because he
like,
can't grow for shit.
yeah, I was like, that's it's kind of embarrassing because if I had good luck with it and my plants never really struggled, if anything, they outperform even in the harsh climate. You know, I remember growing it in like the summer, it was like 90 degrees and your plants were taking it like champs, you know. And again, if I could grow them and I could experience good stuff, I cannot imagine somebody that has more equipment, more experience than me. If I could do it, anybody could do it. So that's pretty much my thing. You know, I can't understand how people could mess them up because I've honestly tested them for pretty much everything, and they have outperformed most of the other strain. They are vigorous. You know, they are very resistant to drought, which is an important thing, you know, especially if you're going outdoors. So to me, I never understand people that say, "Oh, they're growing like shit." I'm like, if if you're doing it like that, that's on you, because I haven't had that issue, and I'm not, you know, I'm not a pro. You know, I'm not how you call it a master breeder, or whatever they call themselves nowadays. But
Yeah, it's true, man. They are very, very, very drought resistant and good for dry farming. And you just sparked another memory. Remember that KNF garden dude? He was really loving my stuff, and then his account started to get a bit bigger, and then he basically had to not associate with me anymore, because of probably idiots. But yeah, he had a plant or plants that he showed no water in for 12 days,
I
and
believe
they
it.
they look fresh as fuck. They look, like they could go another good few days at least without water.
Yeah, and to
So,
me, that in itself, it's something
and
great
that
to
was that
have.
was in a pot, bro. That was in a pot, not even in the ground. Established
Okay.
from seed in the ground. That's crazy. Sorry, go on, man.
No, that's definitely, you know, proof that your strains are resistant. And to me, I feel like that should be a good sign. Like outside of the terps, outside of the uniqueness of them, they're very resistant. They're very strong, both genetically and also in a lot of ways. You know, the potency of the smoke, how they grow, how their genetic is able to be passed down. You know, like I mentioned, I bred with them, and I've seen a lot of the qualities that I've seen in the pheno hunters pack in my own genetics, and that proves how strong they are, how dominant the genetics are. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of your genetics or descendants of your genetics within, you know, the cannabis community in the next couple of years, because
We're
they're very
seeing it
dominant.
now, bro. That's why I posted that meme the other day of the kid off Sixth Sense saying, "I see stuff that looks like blue skies plants everywhere." Because I see it my fucking self. I can see people using my stuff for sure. But they're distinctive, man. They've got a morphology and a look that just wasn't around before. And it's what I told people, well, years ago. Watch out for the bullshit skunk discovery stories that are going to be coming out. But that aside, the skunk aside, it's just like the look. They've got a distinctive aesthetic. I can
For
spot my
sure.
stuff. And I've had incidences like there's this one guy, for example. I'm not going to tell you, he's done a nice job with them. He's done some good work with them. They look good. From what he says, they sound good. But this guy, he's pretending like as if they're not mine. And the thing is, this prick that is like his chief tester, he bought seeds from me in the very early days, and everybody was finding skunk. And then one day I've got this email off this prick, and it's like I didn't even read it all. It's like, no, I'm not reading this bullshit. It was like fucking pages and pages of him crying, essentially, that he hadn't found skunk, and I was the worst human being on earth. And I was like, this bitch is like, you know, this sounds like bullshit. Like no one would go over the fucking top. And so next thing, like literally within a matter of weeks, this prick is suddenly a tester for this other fucking prick, and they've got stuff that looks so fucking identical to mine. So it's just bullshit. But like this guy, if he had any fucking integrity about him whatsoever, just said, "Yeah, I've used your stuff," I'll be promoting him. I'll be going, check this guy's stuff out, like I've done with countless breeders, or a lot of breeders, but they happen to be smaller, lesser known breeders because they're the only fucking people of integrity. Because anybody established is already a tainted piece of shit, you know?
No, for sure. And to me, I feel like it doesn't cost much to just give credit. Even if if you're a hater of Blue Sky and you find something that's good, just give it credit. You don't have to like the guy. You don't have to, agree with everything that Blue Sky does. But again, we cannot deny the genetics. I feel like that's something that we could all agree with, regardless of how we feel about Blue Sky or not. We can all agree that his genetics are very unique.
Listen, 99% of anybody that's got anything bad to say about me is just a fucking pussy. And that's a fact of it. They don't, they're just little dweebs in reality. And they don't like somebody who's just completely straight talking, tells it how it is, don't pull their punches. And that's what they hate. And that's nothing to hate. So I don't feel fucking hated, do you know what I mean, to be honest, at all. I know there's a lot of shit talkers out there, but I understand why they're shit talkers, because they're fucking faggots. And they just they can't fucking vibe with a guy who's so fucking real. That's the fucking fact
Yeah,
of it.
and I feel like that's definitely something that it's
And I
we
call loads of people cunts for the same simple fact is loads of people are fucking cunts. If they weren't cunts, I'd say nice things about them. Like I say nice things about people like you. And that's why we get on. Because, you know,
yeah,
you,
I feel like a lot of people don't understand you, like me knowing everything that you went through, a lot of the drama behind your name. I can kind of see why you have reacted the way you have. I know on my end, my relationship with you has always been good. You've shown nothing but support. Most breeders don't give a fuck about the people growing their stuff. You have shown so much interest in the people growing your stuff and the plants. You really care about the plants more than anything. And I feel like that's something that's been missing. A lot of breeders, all they care about is the money. Whenever they get the money, they stop giving a fuck about the people growing their stuff. They stop caring. But you have pretty much shown what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to keep track of the people growing your stuff. You're supposed to show love to the people growing your stuff, because let's be real, you know you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the people that's growing your stuff, that's supporting you.
oh,
And
absolutely.
I feel like it's very important to give that that love back. And I feel like you've done an incredible job showing
Well,
love to
it's
the people
important
growing your
to
stuff.
acknowledge the good people, man. It's important. You've got to acknowledge anybody who supports you. You've got to be thankful for that because, as I say, those kind of people are few and far between for a lot of reasons. It's like society generally is a bunch of shit these days, and a lot of the kids are just products of that. And they ain't being brought up like we were brought up in the fucking old school. So it's just fucking more cunts than they used to be anyway. Plus, then there's the established people that are all fucking, who have let me down and disappointed me because I too once thought they were fucking who they professed to be, and I found out they're completely fucking not. So yeah, I've got to give credit and thanks and appreciation to all those people supporting me for 100% because I appreciate their honesty. I don't not just like the fucking financial support, but which is great, but um, just I mostly appreciate honest, genuine people. Do you know what I mean? And there's been like fucking just like the odd occasion where somebody said, "Oh yeah, I didn't find skunk in a boss pack," and that's statistically possible because there was thousands of packs made. They were drawn from like a whole range of fucking, the 5 different mothers, which was probably spitting a few phenos. Perhaps some of them phenos, one or two out the whole lot, were not the fucking skunkiest, or were more like a skunk one, and it wasn't the skunk they were looking for. And so they got those seeds drawn randomly in that pack. That can happen. Where someone's approached me was genuine, and I thought they were honest, I've given them a fucking another pack or two, and then they found what they were looking for. So if someone, I treat people how they fucking treat me, and my relationship with average normal people, the growers, is fucking great, and it's only fucking established dickheads in the community who've bumped heads with me, and I won't take shit off them or let them lie about me, that are going to talk shit. But it's unfortunately them people that's got a lot more influence and presence in the community than me, and they then use it to suppress me or defame me. So that's what it is. And that's what it's been a constant fight against. And that's why I appreciate the people who support me on that fight. Because I kind of see it at this point now almost as like it's kind of like a moral crusade in the fact that everybody has shown themselves to be completely morally bankrupt in the fucking community. You know, you mentioned fucking, well, I won't fuck him. I won't mention him, so I could mention 50 others. But yeah, very, very little true, genuine people in the established industry. So I definitely appreciate all the, people out there supporting me.
No, man, yeah. It's it's also like when you're using all these dumbass little fucking terms to get your shit sold instead of just selling people good fucking genetics that are different from everyone, like that's when you know.
Yeah, like they want to associate, like a lot of people just push the whole medical side of cannabis, which again, it is true. There's medical benefits behind cannabis, but let's just be real. We're all smoking to get high. We're all smoking
Exactly.
to experience, good things. And again, like cannabis works differently on everybody. Just because it might have a good result on somebody, and somebody might have good results with it, doesn't mean that I might have good results with it. So I feel like you should sell the weed based on what it is, on how good it is. It shouldn't be based on the name or based on one specific benefit that you might find. Because again, most people that smoke weed smoke it to get high and recreationally. Not everybody does it for medicinal purpose. And again, you could be misleading by saying, "Hey, my strain has it's good for PTSD or it's good for depression," when it might work on somebody, but it might not work on the other person. We all different, and weed reacts different. Just because I smoke a strain that might have specific effect on me doesn't mean that you're gonna have the same effect that I had. So, I feel like you gotta be honest too. You can't be just clinging on the people's, misfortune. There's a lot of people that consume cannabis for the medical aspect of it, and a lot of people just buy it just for that. But we gotta think about the people that just buy it to smoke and get high.
Well, bro, you're
Yeah,
going to force me to do it now because you've made another great point. The one guy I wasn't good, I said, oh, I won't mention him because there'll be 50 others. But the one guy, again, embodies what you're saying and what I was thinking of then. And you mentioned him quite a bit earlier in our chat. Fucking Mass Medical. When he said, oh, do you remember when Mass Medical used to follow you? And yeah, Mass Medical. I'll fuck it. I'll say it. I don't like talk shit on every single person, but again, if like the vast majority of them need shit talking on, I'm going to do it. Mass Medical is like one of the biggest frauds in the game. Fucking the very name, as you say, is using the term medical to. He's from Massachusetts, so that's the mass bit, but Mass Medical strains. He's using medical to appeal and to target a certain market. Yeah, the medical user. And this kid's the fucking biggest fraud going. He's on the podcast with Heavy Days using a voice changer. So he sounds like in his 40s or 50s. And at the time, he's like fucking barely out in his 20s. He's like 27 now, something, 28. He's this kid, Mike Schneider, you know, from a very privileged fucking background. Made a lot of money selling fingerboards from when he was like a teenager. His parents set up this fucking business for him. Um, and so he's made plenty of money from that, and now he's out there fleecing the fucking medical community. And he called his company Flat. This is the type of guy. He's called his company Flat Face Fingerboards. If you check him out on YouTube, Mike Schneider, you'll have a right laugh if you check this fucking goofy out. But anyway, he's made, and he looks. I mean, how this kid could have been a fucking bully, I don't know. But that's what it is. He was a bully. Called his company Flat Face Fingerboards because after like a disfigured kid in high school that had some deformity and got
yeah,
bullied, and then this kid fucking then got horrendously bullied even more as a result of being this company being out there flat face named after him. So he's an absolute little cunt. He's a fraud, and he's ripped off most of his fucking strains. And yeah, he's out there targeting the fucking medical community. And really, he doesn't know shit about anything. the reason he stopped following me and I started having a little beef with him, as it were, was because somebody was going, "Oh, Mass Medical's just a great guy," and it's like in the early days, he's like, "Oh, he'll help you out." I said, "Well, fucking," I said, "I bet he won't. See what happens if you ask him to give me a shout out." And fucking, of course, he wouldn't do it, which I knew he wouldn't. I was like, "There we are. Proves he's a little fucking shit cunt, isn't it?" He's all like lying that, he's all about, again, one of these helping, caring, kind people, and he will not give, anybody a shout out. He's got something different, or he's got skunk, And then he made his ridiculous comment one day. Oh, they smell. There was more skunk back in the day because they didn't have aircon in the grow room, so it was hotter and made everything smell skunky.
Oh my god, bro. How much brain cells is this guy missing, dog?
Well, I
Oh
think,
my
well, bro,
god.
check out how much fucking meth a kid must have done. If you have a look at him, man, it's sad to look at. But anyway, I won't talk too much shit on the guy. But yeah, maybe we'll keep him for the Meet the Bullshitters series.
No, yeah, we're definitely dropping on him, bro. Like Mass Medical.
Well, I don't know if you've got anything more to like add that you haven't covered already, Northshore, because I want to thank you, man, for everything you've said so far. You've been a really great guest. You've, made a lot of really good points, and I hope everybody listens to this episode and takes note, man.
Yeah, well, one thing that I could say is that, as a community, we have to put aside, favoritism or this whole idol that we create of, breeders. We idolize a lot of these breeders without knowing, what they're about, when it comes to growing and, what they add to the community. Because that's another thing. A lot of these people don't add anything to the community. A lot of these people are in it for their own reasons,
What the fuck is Matt Riot doing anywhere near us?
Exactly, man.
I remember your beef with him in the beginning. That was kind of like one of the first guys you were going at in the beginning. The one that showed the branch, I think saw like a branch or something, talking about, oh, that's weed.
Sorry,
But
man, what's that?
I remember something that happened with him showing up a branch on a live or something, claiming to be like, oh, this is weed or something.
Oh,
It
God
was
knows.
it was a really long time ago.
All I remember of Matt Riot on Instagram was he made some fucking comment, and it was the very first time he ever opened his mouth to me, and I said, "Shut your mouth, you fat skunk with shit." And then I got immediately blocked
What a
because
pussy.
he's a bully, isn't he? And I let him know straight away I wasn't going to be bullied. If you heard his nonsense on the podcast and his stupid little logo with the brass knuckles, as if he's some kind of fucking oh, let's forget about Matt. What a goofy.
I know
Uh,
motherfucker ain't swinging on shit.
yeah, and then so yeah, we'll just deal with all the shit talkers in the Meet the Breeders series.
For sure. But nah, yeah, definitely solid.
Yeah, man.
The genetics on your page, man. Everything's looking old school, bro. It looks like you know what you're doing as well.
Yeah, man. It's easy when you have the right genetics on your side. I don't claim to know it all. I'm a newbie, but I feel like the most important things are the genetics that you're working with, and they pretty much they make your job easy.
Yeah, man.
Well,
Yeah, all this stuff. It looks like solid old school, man.
I would agree with you though. They do pretty much grow themselves. They don't need to, they don't need any special attention. If you just cover the basics, they're going to do very well for you. They do, and yeah, they stand up to all the weather conditions, the pest resistance, the disease resistance, and it's because they haven't been just inbred and inbred and inbred and just diluted with all the weakness of the last 20 years. So yeah, it's definitely a wise move for anybody listening who hasn't grown them already to at least get a pack to try out and find your own thing. You know, you mentioned so many good points, man. I forget to I don't want to interject while you're talking, but no, I forget. But it is just, as you say, like a perfect opportunity for people just to grow these plants and just find something new that they've never experienced before. And for me, when I started growing, that's all I wanted to do was experience new stuff. That's why I started growing, because there was like limited availability or diversity on the streets. You just pretty much only get fucking cheese in the UK. So I wanted to grow in order to experience things I could never possibly find in the UK, for example, like Malawi gold and things like that. So I grew a lot of things like that when I first started out. But yeah, these packs will give you genetics that have been worked by people like Oldtimer1. And yeah, I've done my little bit. And so yeah, it's not just like buying a pack of wild landrace and such. It's you're getting some good selections from the best of the landrace.
Yeah, you get a piece of history. To me, it's been an honor working with your stuff. I feel like it has everything that you're looking for. It's like a time capsule. So again, if you're looking for something new, something different, I feel like these are the best genetics to work on. No hate other people's genetics, but it's really hard to find uniqueness, especially in today's market with a lot of hybrids and all that stuff. But again, to me, just be unbiased. Just give it a shot. Don't come into this, with an idea already made up in your head, because it's gonna cloud your judgment. You're not gonna be able to really judge these genetics if you already have somebody in your ear telling you all how shitty they are, how fake they are. To me, just give them a shot. I'm sure that if anybody that grows it and is unbiased about it, I'm sure they're gonna find fire.
Bro, what you just said again, you always say something that is just pertinent to something. The in your ear stuff, and JJ, who grew the shit plants, will tie him in with both of that. Well, if he spent as much time learning about growing, or actually with his plants, observing them and being with them, as he does on his computer or on his phone in the DMs of people growing my stuff every day, then I'm sure he'd have much better plants he could show pictures of. Because this little idiot, he spends like 4 or 5 hours in people's DMs telling them, people that have got skunk in their room that they can smell, they're calling it roadkill skunks. And I found roadkill skunk and blue sky stuff. And this guy's trying to convince them that they haven't. And in some cases, he's either so persistent and I've perceived as intimidating by them, or just so whatever, that they actually take down their fucking posts. They'll have posted, I've got beautiful pictures of roadkill skunk, saying how much they love it, and then JJ will be in their fucking DMs harassing them to the point where they actually take those posts down. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, to me, it's just crazy that they have to resort to this tactics to win or to get one over
Anybody
you.
not listening, I'm not sure, by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt, but JJ, if anybody's new and doesn't know like the characters in the fucking game, is Top Dog. Top Dog Seeds. Top Dog is the guy who wastes his entire afternoon in people's DMs every day talking shit about me.
And his
Yeah, to
sour's
me,
fucking
if you
trash.
have to go that far just to talk bad about somebody, that should tell you it. Honestly, if I heard somebody talking so much shit about somebody's genetics, it must be because they have something good. You know what I mean? And I will run and try to get my hands on those genetics, because to me, if you have to go through all those things just to prevent somebody from growing somebody else's stuff, because again, if Blue Sky doesn't have skunk, if Blue Skies just have shitty ass weed, just let him rock. Let him do what he's doing. Because again, the genetics are gonna speak for themselves. And if they're shitty, nobody's gonna grow their shit. But why are we seeing more and more people growing, blue sky stuff? No matter how much shit is being talked about him, like throughout everything, throughout, all the accounts have been, taken down, throughout all of the drama behind Blue Sky, people are still growing his stuff. People are still, like if you asked me 3 years ago, 4 years ago, if right now we'll be where we at right now with the boss pack, with a lot of people growing blue sky stuff, I will be like, yo, you out of your damn mind. Because in the beginning, a lot of people were talking hellish shit. A lot of people were preventing the knowledge to be spread about, you know, blue sky stuff. So again, if people have so much to say about the genetics and so many negative things, then hey, just let people find out for themselves. You know, you don't have to go out of your way to talk bad about somebody and make up lies just so they, you know, just so they don't sell their genetics. Like, it's just ridiculous to me.
Bro, it's another great point, you know, because I'm like approaching 90,000 seeds being sent out now, and I've given away a lot of seeds too. Okay, so
No,
people,
you have given a lot more strains that you have sold. Like, that's another thing that not a lot of breeders are willing to give their strains out. And you know, you have given so many free strains, and even for the price that you're selling it very cheap. Most of these breeders are here selling seeds for 250, 150 for, you know, 6 seeds, and you know, you end up lucky if you find one that's, you know, worth it. Like, to bring out Mass Medical, I used to be a fan of him. I used to, you know, grow some of his stuff, but you know, the guy, he can't claim to be about the community when he's just, you know, fucking the community over, selling packs for, I remember back in the day, like 150, 200 for 6 seeds, and you'll be lucky if you get one to pop. And then when you hit him up like, hey, my shit didn't pop, he would just give you crap about it or block you. And to me, you know, you have to be transparent. You know, another thing that I don't agree with is breeders that just come out with, you know, a small amount of strains. You know, Mass Medical is used to, you know, releasing a small amount of seeds. Like, bro, if you want people to grow it, you want to release as much seed as possible, so everybody gets the chance to grow them. And to me, I feel like you can't be gatekeeping genetics. You know, if you're working with them, you should
bro,
be able
that's
to
all. It's
put it
all
out there.
marketing. That's all marketing. All this stuff about, oh, this drop sold out in a few minutes. But if you look, he's got like a poster, and it's 100 strains by Mass Medical. It's like, how's this kid's made 100 strains? And you know, it's just nonsense. It's just laughable. And but people buy into it. And again, people probably aren't aware that, you know, they might listen to the podcast still or any other things that he's on. He's maybe still using his little voice changer. People might, and you know, the stupid posts he makes, people might still believe, because like the internet's got a short memory, man. Right? Little big dramas, they're over in fucking days, and then people, you know, people forget, and new people join Instagram, and it's just like it's not as big as people really think, you know. And so, whereas I know he's a fraud, and you know, he's just some kid pretending, a lot of people still new to the game or still joining into cannabis growing or whatever, they're just going to be took in like I was to start with, you know. So that's how these people survive as well. In that, you know, we live in this fucking Instagram era where things aren't necessarily recorded in the same way as forums did, you know.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, fucking, I forgot again my original point. These BPF vape extracts vapes are
No,
decent, man.
no, yeah, man. Um, it's really how it is, man. People will do shady marketing tactics to make their shit feel hyped, and that one sounds crazy though. Having like 6 seeds and then none of them germ. Like, I wonder if he fucked up the
Oh yeah,
germ
yeah. I
on
remember what I was
purpose
going to get
because
to with
like
that. Yeah. Well, to be honest, like with the price point, yeah, when I first put the seeds out, they were 250 a pack, but I didn't really want to fucking sell them at that point, and so
Yeah, I remember. You
yeah.
put it. Honestly, I feel like you put them out of spite because a lot of people were talking shit, and you was like, you know what? Let me just release this shit so people could just shut the fuck up.
Well,
yeah.
that's why I released like the S lines. They were like literally. It sounds bad when I say it now, but they were like my least good skunks. But I wanted just to give people a taste of them, in that like they would find some skunk, and it might not be my best ones, but it still validates the fact that I've got skunk that no one else has got. And then after they went out, I got a lot more demand, and so I put the boss pack out there, and I think they were even 250 to the 220 to start with. But basically, now we're, you know, I've sold a lot of packs, and well, I made a huge amount of seeds to begin with. The most important thing to me at the moment now is just getting that germplasm out there and into the hands of gardeners of as many different people as possible, because of the nefarious plans that are in place by people such as Jodry. who are, you know, into all this fucking genetic marker and everything to do with DNA sequencing and all that side of cannabis, patenting, license, all that shit that we never fucking wanted anything to do with back in the day, but which is now a reality of the times. I wanted to get these seeds to as many people as possible before cunts like Jodri are patenting them and trying to send out cease and desist letters to people growing them, you know? That's what, you know, that's what's going to be happening. Or somebody like gives them to Monsanto or to some fucking pharmaceutical company. So I just want the real medicine out there to as many people as possible to try and like counteract what will be coming down the line, which is, you know, basically like the legal enforcement or the attempted legal enforcement of stopping, preventing people from growing these genetics because they're fucking real medicine.
Yeah, especially with the whole talk of GMO weed that, you know, they're trying to create. Also how they're trying to prevent, you know, a certain THC amount to be present in the cannabis. That's gonna call for a lot of dilution in the genetics that we're gonna see in the future. You know, not only with the GMO, with the auto flowers, with the, you know, keeping it. I think it's 15% THC that they're trying to make it be the limit. So again, I feel like, you know, it's our job to preserve this genetics. It's our job to get it to as many people as possible. You know, I'm always happy whenever somebody that I know is growing your stuff, or whenever I see the community grow to this point, because I feel like it's our job to speak up and to stand up to, you know, all this false narratives and all this, you know, fake breeders that we have out there that they just focus on profit and not really on effect, or, you know, bringing something that would really mean something to the community. And I feel like it's our job to advocate for those people that are really looking forward to having something that's unique. And I feel like, you know, we can't do that, you know, arguing with each other. That's why I'm willing to listen to everybody's opinion. I'm willing to hear how they feel, because I want to better understand where they're coming from. You know, a lot of the people that I see speaking bad about you are people that haven't grown your shit, or if they had, they really haven't grown. For example, the boss pack. Like a lot of people, oh, I didn't get skunk, but hey, I bet you found something good instead. You know, and if you didn't find skunk, maybe you didn't work on the boss pack, because we all know that the boss pack are the, you know, the best way for you to get skunk. So if you haven't, you know, worked with the boss pack, you can really speak on finding skunk or not.
Also, the Tip Town tickets, they are, man, they are fire. I tell you,
I'm saying,
the boss pack has been great, and that's nearly like no longer available. Just the last few packs of Seed Fantasy now. But you know, I was released that as the skunk pack, as it were. But the truth is, the Tip Town tickets have turned out to produce so many fucking skunk spray and that kind of the more
Even
sharper,
RKS.
yeah, and some RKS. There has literally not been a pack of Tip Town tickets that has not contained skunk. Reason being, partially, is that they're extremely like good value for money in that they've got a scoop of. I always say a scoop of 20 to 50 seeds, but in reality, it's usually like 30 plus. I've never seen a pack with less than 30 because I couldn't be bothered sitting there counting out 20 seeds per pack. It's just like, fucking, I've not got the patience for it. So I just found a scoop and like tested how many would be in, you know, an average of 5 scoops, and every scoop is like basically 30 to 50 fucking seeds. So it's great value for money, and the diversity, and they're coming from over 60 different mothers. You know, they're a fucking phenomenal pack, really. If I was a grower but not a breeder, I would fucking want a pack of Tip Down tickets,
I
really.
mean, that cuts so many corners, because you don't have to buy 5 different packs to be able to find the things that you find in one pack of the Pheno Hunters pack or the Turptown ticket. So again, I feel like we could have a lot of fun with the Pheno Hunters or the Turptown tickets, and it's just a matter of, you know, sticking with it. Like, you know, if you're gonna grow it, be unbiased, give it all you got, and the plants are gonna, you know, speak for themselves. So at the end of the day, it's very important for us to you know, give them a shot, to grow them, and to know what they are and what can you get. You did already the hard part, which is being able to name all the terps that could be found. But again, our job as growers, as breeders, is just to hunt through them and make the best out of it.
And I'm consistently seeing this, consistently seeing this. Good people finding good things, and people who are cunts fucking whinging that they didn't, yeah? And it's invariably that. And I don't call them cunts because they're whinging. Like I say, if somebody's come to me well, once has happened where somebody hit me up and it was, I felt it was genuine. And so I gave them another pack of seeds. But it's just so consistent. People who are like decent, good people with good intentions are always putting out ridiculous fire. And anybody, like, not as I say, the vast majority of times that anybody said otherwise, those people invariably, aside from growing my stuff, just in their person and their lives, they're just fucking wankers anyway. And so people with bad hearts are generally fucking, thankfully, attracting anything that's less than stellar, and all the good people with good hearts are always finding fire that they love. So I love to see that too. That's like one for the fucking hippies out there, but it's true. Bog said this in an episode of the podcast. Remember Bushy Old Grower, and he did allude to it. He says it's a spiritual power that human beings have, but it's not one that necessarily all people are capable of tapping into or
Yeah.
know that they have, because they're a bit they're cunts.
Yeah, I feel like the moment that you put profit first, you're already starting with a wrong foot. And again, I feel like each of us have a connection with these plants. We wouldn't be growing it if it wasn't for the connection that we have. We all have appreciation for the plant. We all have appreciation for the culture behind cannabis. And I feel like when your intentions are good, the product that comes from it, it's the purest thing ever. That's maybe why we don't see, a lot of good stuff, because people are so focused on making money, on being number one, that we lose a lot of the
Well,
important
exactly. Their
things.
energies
Yeah.
aren't attracting it to them,
No, for sure.
or on another level, God just ain't giving it to them, ain't rewarding them because of their fucking
Exactly. And
intentions.
you get what you deserve, and
Yeah.
I feel like we can't be too greedy
How
with
come,
cannabis. I
bro?
feel like that's why I'm always down to give some of my strains away, or give out some of my personal collection, just because I want to spread that love. I want to spread genetics so that everybody could grow it. I don't want to be the only one experiencing the fire. I don't only want to
Exactly.
be, I want as many. And that's, I talked to a lot of people in my close circle about your genetics. And I talk from a place of respect. Like, I respect you, I respect the work that you do, and that's why I've been sticking around. If I just listened to the crowd, I would have been out a long time ago. But again, I go with my guts. I go with just knowing
It's,
the person for who they are, and not just from what I've heard from people. And again, our energies need to be aligned with the plants. We have to really want the best out of them, and we really need to figure out what our values are within the industry. We cannot say that we value the community when we just out here preventing them
hiding
from
shit.
accessing genetics.
Isn't it strange that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of good unknown growers out there? And by good, I mean people with good hearts, people may be searching for some medicine or just genuinely with good intentions looking for what they want. People who aren't in any way making a living from a skunk. Isn't it funny how all these people have found it and reported it? Yeah, all these wonderful big known breeders out there can't find it in my packs.
I'm saying, and honestly, like, at this point, it can't be denied, because hey, if even one person found skunk, that's already enough.
Yeah,
For a strain that a lot of people were claiming to be extinct,
extinct.
or because that's another thing. There's a lot of mystery behind the skunk. Everybody had different skunks in their time, so you know we can't just go based on our personal opinion. We gotta understand other people and their experiences, because the skunk that somebody smoked in New York is not the same skunk that somebody smoked in Cali. They're two different places, very far away. So again, there's a lot of possibilities within your pack to find skunk, to find different skunks. So again, like let's appreciate it for what it is. Let's not just be have our mind fixed on one specific type of skunk when there's many different types of skunks out there. And again, the effect should be the most important thing that we focus on. And again, I don't care if it smells like fucking shit, if it smells like orange, I don't care what it smells like. As long as it gets me high, that's what I'm looking for. And I feel like we could all appreciate your strains for what they are, for what they bring. And hey, if somebody has some better things out there, then that's okay. By the end of the day, we cannot turn a blind eye on the facts.
Yeah, man. Well, it's been great having you on, bro. I would definitely love you to come on again. I've mentioned it before. We're gonna put together like a little group of regulars, hopefully, of like the good guys, as it were, the people who get it and the decent people out there. And we'd definitely like you to be part of that. So yeah, I really, really definitely enjoyed having you on and appreciate your support. And yeah, your intelligent conversation's been nice.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
I
I
understand that.
really appreciate you guys having me here. Again, it's easy for me to speak on you because my experience have been good. I'm coming from an unbiased point of view. I'm coming as somebody that went from just observing everything that you had going on to somebody growing it and experience it on their own. So again, I can speak from the bottom of my heart, and I could safely say that you're a good guy. You have what you have claimed to have. I've seen it over and over again for the past almost 4 years now. So I could safely say that my opinion is the closest thing to the truth, because again, I'm not trying to sugarcoat things. I definitely understand where other people come from, and I also understand where you're coming from. So I could definitely say that a lot of people don't understand you, and it's kind of like my job to try to explain to them with the knowledge that I have, with the information that has been given to me, and I try my best to explain to people your side of the story, your genetics, and why you are the way you are. And whenever I'm able to do so, people are able to understand, because again, it's not like you're doing this to just be an asshole or just to hate on people, but you have a reason to act the way you do, and to say the things that you do. So again, we have to respect that for what it is. And
Bro, I treat as I find, or I treat as I get treated, And if the reception of the community had been different, then people would have seen a very different side to me. That is a fact. Yeah, that what can I say? If someone's going to treat you, I see it from like where people perhaps not don't know the whole story, haven't seen things from the beginning. They become aware of me. They see me calling their heroes cunts. They think I'm the fucking bad guy. They read countless fucking bullshit things on the internet, and believe that. So I can understand it. So I do have to kind of occasionally revisit, stories from the past, or about, how everything's been, to make those people aware of it. Because no, very well, put it this way, apart from anybody coming on here, like there's very few people out there singing my praises. So I have to kind of constantly readdress the facts and stuff. So yeah, there's the whole story of the fire and what I went through there. There's the whole story of how people were immediately trying to fuck me, for my seeds. Um, and then there's been like the story of the community reaction as it is towards me, and then the fact that I'm not somebody who's gonna sit in the corner crying or disappear. I'm somebody who's very fucking vocal and vociferous in my own defense. I'm articulate. I don't give a fuck about anybody who's in my way or talking shit. And I call out every single fucker out there from, anybody. So, yeah, I'm an abrasive character in that way. But on the flip side, you know, I'm equally as strong of a good guy too. And if you're my friend and there's, whatever, then I'm equally that side of things too. But if you're gonna fucking talk shit about me, try and take food out of my fucking children's mouth, I'm gonna fucking take you out, you cunt.
Yeah, and the good thing is that you're not trying to portray yourself to be, a hippie or just some lie. You know, a lot of people portray
My
themselves to be
relationship
something they're
with the
not.
plants, my relationship with the plants and how I interact with them and how my experience has been, if you want to call it hippie, so much more hippie than 99% of these fucking idiots out there. They don't know about the experiences I've had with plants. You know, why, they don't like, whether they admit it or not, I was the fucking only guy to have fucking skunk out of everybody fucking living, okay, including the Oldtimer1 because I had stuff he didn't have no more. Let's face it, there was not another guy on the planet who could come near me in terms of the diversity of my genetics, the skunk genetics, the haze genetics, all of that. Nobody had what I fucking had. That includes Sam the Skunk Man and whoever. But anybody, certainly anybody selling seeds, no fucker had anything close to the true genetic potential of what I actually have. Nobody. So they don't like stuff like that. But yeah, all these hippies want to ask themselves, if I'm such a bad guy, why was I the one to end up with it? And why was I the one who put it out there for everybody? I didn't hoard it. I didn't charge stupid money for bullshit like Jay Breezy or just got that fucking sea junkie idiot and that fucking fat cunt riot with his 6 skunkless femmes of some Afghan shite that fucking got no skunk in them whatsoever for $500. So if I'm the fucking cunt, how come I'm doing that? So I always say, judge the person by their actions, not their fucking words.
Oh, exactly. And I feel like it's important for people to hear both sides of the story instead of just hearing one side and making their own decision. To me, I've always been about, listening to both sides and going by my instinct, go by my heart. My heart is always going to be on the right place, and so far, I haven't had any bad, interactions with you. If anything, you have supported me more than any breeder out there, and again, that speaks on your character as a human being, because not a lot of people would do the things that you do for others. And to me, it's more important to just listen to the plan and, let the plan do the talking. And I feel like if anybody that grows your stuff with good intentions, like you mentioned, they're gonna find the fire. It's if I was able to find in the first 2 seeds that I popped, I can only imagine people that grow 30 seeds, 40 seeds, So again, if I could do it, anybody could do it.
Yeah, I agree, man. Yeah, as I say, a pack of town tickets. If you pop every single one of those, you're going to find so many, multiple keepers of, things you've not used, but like most people have never seen before, and just didn't know existed. Even me, I find things, with all the experience of Oldtimer1 stuff and, all the catalogs of other breeders that I've grown throughout the last 20 odd years, even with I've not got the greatest experience of everybody living on Earth for sure, but even I find things that are absolutely completely new to me when I pop enough seeds from Oldtimer1. The past 2 seasons that I did do, I found each time one plant that I couldn't describe or in any way, shape, or form described because it was something that not only has I never smelled in cannabis, but just never smelled at all in all my years of existence. So, and it was so unlike anything that I ever had smelled in all my years of existence that I just cannot describe it at all. Nothing, no way can I put any label or description on it. So
Oh
that's
man,
fucking.
that was like my first experience with a burnt rubber. I spent like 3 days trying to wrap my head around what the smell was, and I remember me and my cousin actually smoked it, and we both looked at each other and we're like, you know what this smells like? This smells like burnt rubber. Like we just had the idea of just being in a racetrack and smelling the burnt rubber. And for me, it was my first time ever experiencing that kind of terp in cannabis, and even the male that I ended up breeding with, Old Spice male, I've never thought that I could ever find something that smells like that in cannabis. So it's definitely, a beautiful thing to
Yeah, I remember
experience.
that mail you told me about the allspice smell. You
Oh
mean,
man, that
yeah,
was such a beautiful smell. And I remember the way that I found out was by using actual Old Spice to put it side by side and to smell the difference, and it was almost spot on, man.
You mean the one for cooking, not that old aftershave, yeah?
Yeah, no, not the aftershave, the spice.
The allspice berries.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like me when I found the oud terp. I was smelling this plant and I was like, fucking, what is that? And like that is something I wouldn't call totally beyond description because I could say it was like perfumey or incensey. When I was mentioning the other tips that like defy description, like the only thing I could, the only possible word I could put as any descriptor on that particular one is cold. So like that's all I could say about it. That's the only descriptor I could put on it. It was like cold, as in the temperature. It was cold. It's so
Oh
weird.
wow.
And like, there's been
It
other
smelled
tips where,
cold.
yeah, yeah, and like, but cold. Oh man, it's so weird to describe. But well, yeah, it had a cold aspect to it, but it couldn't. It had a smell. When I say I can't describe the smell, it wasn't because there was no smell. There's a definite smell, but I can't describe it to you. And the only thing that if I had to put any description on my association with this would be cold. I remember thinking that's because like there's been other tips like where I've smelled and they're possibly like some kind of tropical flower, who knows what, because it would be something I've not experienced before, but I could say it might be something that ballpark. And like you smell it, and instead of like sometimes you might smell something that's lemon, you think of lemon. Like with this,
Mhm.
you'll just smell it, and all you'll feel is just like overwhelming like joy. It's like an emotive tip. It like triggers emotions in you, but whilst not necessarily smelling of something you recognize. But I definitely have had that a number of times where you just take a deep inhalation. It's just like overwhelming joy.
Nah, yeah, that's fucking crazy. We gotta get clones of that shit.
For sure. I actually got excited because I remember you had mentioned that you were gonna put out some clones. Because honestly, I've been wanting to share clones within the skunk fam.
Yep,
I was grateful to have found that Robert Mint's clone, but I
yep,
feel like we should definitely have a group of people that we exchange some of the genetics that we find within the packs, so that we
yeah.
could all experience, so that we could all give our inputs, because I might smell something that somebody else might not be able to smell, or just having
I'm
to experience it in different ways,
I'm
in different
totally down for that,
environments.
man.
For sure, man.
Because there's a few good people already who, like, basically what you're talking about is like the same kind of people I want to get on our regular group chat as just sharing stuff with each other. So that's what I intended anyway, man. It's just like Father Time, he's found killer stuff. He's happy to share with good people I'll recommend to him. Um, and then Soil Jedi, he's a good guy. I think he was. Did you come on our group podcast with him once in the early days, man?
If it was the early days, maybe.
Were you on the Future Cannabis one with us?
Yeah.
I thought you were, man. Yeah. So I think he was on that. But Soul Jedi, he's a cool guy who's found some nice stuff. He's willing to share. So yeah, we should definitely get that little clone exchange group happening. And yeah, so it's bullshit for me being in when I'm in the UK. Can't really do anything of any significance. So I have to go somewhere else to do it, and then they're not always the best places to actually send clones out from. They're normally like not the
Yeah.
most, But so yeah, but that's something I definitely want to do. I'm going to do some growing this year. Probably start in May. And yeah, if I can get any of my nice finds out to people in clone form from wherever I am, I will do that, man. I'm certainly intending to make a lot of seeds this year. All being well
I
and
mean,
good with it.
I'm definitely excited to see, what you got cooking up, because I know that this is not even the best that you have in store for us. So I just can't wait for that day to happen when, you bring out more of your unique strains out there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And like I say, I'm just going to focus on producing like single varieties per pack. So yeah, they'll be my obviously I want to do various skunks. I've got like about 3 different kinds of skunks I've got in mind to bring out. I want to do like a burnt rubber, like you like. I want to, just isolate a lot of the profiles, especially like a nice blueberry or strawberry line or both. Not a lot of fruit lines really. Some of the fruits are so fucking just so nice and such beautiful smokes and have such lovely like day brightening effects. So yeah, I do love skunk and definitely I want to, I've got a certain skunk in mind that's like really, really just like the complete smoke, as it were. And hazes, some skunk hazes, and there's a lemon haze I've had in the past. I'd like to bring back. There's a fizzy orange sherbet that fucking. That's all I want to do is just find that again, and I'll just be happy.
Nah,
And
yeah, that's a banger, bro.
I just need. I'm amazed. I've never fucking found it since. So I just got this feeling that I will find it when I do another big seed pot. So yeah, it's just a lot of things, man, that I want to work on and bring out. So definitely a lot, a lot more to come in the future.
Nah, yeah, it's solid.
Yeah, guys, I guess we should wrap it up there, man, because we've been talking quite a while.
Yeah, we just hit the 2 hour mark.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
it was definitely a great conversation.
Yeah, I hope people listen all the way through because I know that today's people's attention span's not all that,
yeah,
but I feel like we have these long
yeah.
form ones. We have great
Regardless,
conversations.
Yeah,
yeah,
the right. I think
regardless,
the right kind of people will stick along and listen to what we have to say. Again, the most important thing is just speaking from the heart, not speaking from, you know, whatever you have made up in your head. And I feel like the right kind of people are going to listen to this message and really get, what I'm trying to say here and what we've been trying to say. We're not trying to target any specific breeder. We're not trying to target any specific person. All we want to do is, spread the truth, spread the knowledge on, your skunks. And that's all what we're here for, just speaking the facts, letting people know the truth, your side of the story. And I feel
I've
like the right
never
kind of people are going to listen.
I've never randomly or initiated a shit talk on anybody. Everything I've ever said about anybody's been in response to how they've treated me or what they've said about me. That is a
yeah, just
fact.
to put that on the record so
Yeah.
everyone listening knows.
And I hear plenty of things about other people that I don't fucking even talk about because it's not anything to do with me, but it still
Yeah,
shock a lot of people, for example. But so I'm not into that fucking shit talking. I'm not into any drama, but they just happen to have picked on somebody who will fucking fight back. Do you know what I mean? You
Yeah,
know,
for sure.
and regardless, like the genetics speak for themselves. Like you're North
exactly.
Shore, say it clearly. And going through North Shore page, you could see like bro has grown other shit besides Blue Skies. Like it's not like he's like 100% biased in one way or another. Like he's tried other breeders and he's rocking with us as well as the other
Yeah, and
ones do.
to me, the most important thing is being, open to criticism and being open to new genetics. To me,
Exactly, yeah.
I never judged a breeder based on what I've heard. I try to have my own experience with them and then go from there on. And there's a reason why I'm still here, why I'm still rocking with Blue Sky. I'm sure that if I have felt that he's fake or a snake, or if he didn't have what he had, I wouldn't be here today vouching for him growing his stuff. And again, I don't plan on ever stopping growing Blue Sky stuff. I'm thinking about doing more projects with his stuff. I definitely want to isolate the burnt rubber terps since it's one of my favorites. But again, I'm talking from a place of experience, somebody that just like anybody else heard about Blue Sky and decided to check him out. I did my research prior to growing with him. I follow a lot of the people that started growing his stuff here in the US, and from what I've seen, it made me want to grow his stuff even more.
Thanks, man. Sorry, it's a mute moment then, but yeah, thanks, man. I definitely appreciate, as I say, your long term support, your honesty, and good conversation. And definitely want to see you grow more of my stuff. Whenever you want more, just let me know. I'll hook you up. And yeah, thank you for coming on and talking to us, and definitely come on again if you would.
Thank you for having me here. It would be an honor to come here again.
All right, thanks, bro. Well, we'll wrap it up there, and thank you to anybody who's listened this far along. See you on the next episode.
For sure.
Thank you so much.